Hi there. My name is Sean MacDonald. I am from Chilliwack. For my first time living, I'm in Chilliwack, BC. I originally from Maple Ridge, British Columbia. I grew up very bullied and I was very disowned by my peers. I didn't know how to interact with others. And unfortunately, like having your son or your daughter come home and them not being able to interact and not properly know how to communicate with others and not having the ability as parents to be able to teach me or be able to have taught others in our family. I have eventually grown up to learning how everything has happened and my mom, she was beat up at a young age. My father, Stephen MacDonald, put glass through my mom's face, put her head through a window when I had to pick it out of her face at 7 years old. So I have PTSD from being traumatized from my dad from hitting women. uh, that is still not being very helpful, um, because I've also had multiple women also also um, also see me never be domestic towards them. I've also have lots of people in my family. My sister has actually got me to babysit her children, and all of her children love me a lot and call me Uncle Sean. I also have Tammy and my cousin's kids, and they call me Uncle Sean as well. Um, I was growing up until grade 8. I was running in hallways and trying to avoid kids. I was very badly bullied. And eventually, my little brother introduced me to the Pratts, who are one of the best friends I've ever had in my whole entire life. Sometimes people may have other judgments of them, but honestly, if it wasn't for that family, I don't think I would be here today. My best friend Mitch Pratt, he found a thing in my book stating that I was gonna hang myself because of how badly I was getting bullied, and I didn't know anything about my best friend's family other than they were Christian people as far as I was concerned from my brother introducing me to them. And soon enough after I met them, I stopped being bullied and people started kind of looking at me differently. And instead of me going and using that to be able to use for intimidating other children, actually, me and my friends, we stood up for children who were bullied in other circumstances like myself. And we would only stand up to people that were bullying others. And we would also stand up for women being bullied or children being bullied or elderly people being bullied. Just like one of my cousins, he ended up finding an elderly lady and she was lost in a graveyard trying to find her way home, and he brought her home. But sometimes people have different outlooks on different people. So, I mean, they have done a lot of things great. They also do wonderful fence work at, uh, at the fencing company. They can build any fence, any shape, any time of the year. As long as you got the right money, they're really great at their work. And so is my wife at her dream catchers. My wife has been building dream catchers since she has been born, or sorry, since she's been about 7 or 8 years old in foster care. And then they kind of didn't teach her anything about her Aboriginal culture, about her Aboriginal heritage. She doesn't know anything about her Aboriginal background because the Yoffme office in Chilliwack here in British Columbia. And so Patricia Colley was the social worker that we got after we got rid of different social worker because she was so shaking it. I thought she was gonna hit me like bipolar. And then this new social worker, she sees how much I love my wife. I brought in her a brand new TV. I brought in her blender. I brought in her bread machine. I brought in her a deep fryer. I brought in her everything under the sun that a boyfriend should possibly get their wife. And I've also turned her whole house around. When I first came here, she had little blankets that she was freezing with that the Yothme office felt was appropriate. She also had another counselor, her name is Ashley Johnson, that didn't report an assault. She also had Karen Hopper, Hebner, that works here at Ruth and Naomi's family center, yelling and swearing at her with her being disabled, having her disabilities, and she also refused her to go see her children, as she asked her to go and have a visit strictly dedicated to the children and not to be about myself or court. Is when Karen Hepner went and told her that if she doesn't stop going and hanging out with me and doesn't stop being with me, that she's going to lose everything, including her apartment and her children. So, what happened after the assault charges were dropped? Can you guess? Simon Ord immediately went to hand her an eviction notice. Somebody who's got Fidelfo syndrome that went to the police to do the right thing instead of having somebody else do something they could have gotten a lot of trouble for. What happened with that is she's getting an eviction notice. The staff have came here to tell her her only friend, Cynthia Covert, has breached protocol and is not welcome back at Ruth and Naomi's building here in Chilliwack, BC. Also, they have not told us, nor have they told Cynthia, what she did to breach the protocol to be able to come back to the building or not to be able to come to the building, and that was not in the eviction notice. Also, they're accusing me of going and being domestic. Like, I'm not saying verbal, they're accusing me of beating up my wife when I've never hit a woman in my whole entire life. As at 7 years old, I had to see my mom get her head thrown through a window and pick glass out of her face. It's been very traumatizing. I've almost been stabbed by a girl, and the police had to come to the matter, and this was on video beforehand on another YouTube channel, and she tried to stab me. And what happened out of that was the charges got dropped because I was too kind of a guy to charge her. That I asked them to get her mental health help and to put her in the hospital instead. They said they would not be willing to do. I said I wouldn't be willing to press charges, so it got dropped. I've also had my counselor from Astra, Charlotte Reckenmacher. She came to my house on around my 19th birthday to go and drop me off at my house. When we got there, my whole entire house was cleared out from my ex-girlfriend, Megan Triana Watts, and she cleared my whole house out. And unfortunately, when my counselor got there, her rights as being a worker was to call the police. I didn't even have a say if she was going to call the police. When the police got there, Megan Triana Watts, after clearing out my house and having all the stolen goods in the back of her vehicle, reported that I assaulted her, with no bruises on her or myself and no marks on my hand or her body. And the police told me that I was lucky if I didn't get charged for hitting her, even though they don't believe it, that a lot of people who are innocent still get charged. And with that being said, I also beat that. Also, my social worker, Charlotte from Astra, was there, and you can call her about the situation at 604 836 6580. She's a harm reduction counselor that I've had since 14, till the time I am still seeing her periodically, and she'll see me once in a while for coffee, and I talk to her periodically over the phone. Charlotte Reckenmacher from Astra Program has gone above and beyond in our community to help all the children with harm reduction, drug reduction, or any other sort of things that the youth are doing to harm themselves. And she has been one of the nicest ladies I've ever had in my life. And they are refusing to contact her, and she has known me from 14 to 28, stating that she's going to lie because I've manipulated her to be thinking that I'm someone who I am not. My teachers that I was given to from Patricia Cully told me that the Aboriginal people are lying about the history and that the white people are right and that our Indigenous children were not in fact killed on Indigenous burial grounds at the Seven Sacred Teachings from Karen, Beth, and Steve. Then they have said there was a miscommunication and wrote me letters for court. Then turned around and said that they were intimidated by me and that's why they wrote the court letters. And I'm still wondering how they're not in trouble for being racist and telling people a lie when their children are still being found on Catholic grounds and on Christian properties. Millions of children who are still being found on unidentified graves because of people taking our children, just like now the York Media office is doing just same as the 1800s is acting the same. They're telling us, okay, yes, these workers who went and took away our children, who were not Aboriginal descendant, were also the ones to take away our children, and they were the ones to kill them in Catholic schools and all this stuff, or white social workers. They're telling me that those people were highly qualifiedly trained as the non Aboriginal social workers here in Knockme, says Patricia Colley, uh, Jackie Reed, Penny Dyke, and also Penny Dyke, and then also Jackie Reed being Patricia's boss. So every single person that I've contacted has said that they're so professional. There has been no signs. There's never been a cop to show up because me and my wife were upset with one another. We don't get upset with one another. We do dream catchers and we sit here, we hug, we watch movies, we do things that cute couples are supposed to do. We have multiple matching outfits that we get commented on daily by the public people who see us in a whole bunch of matching outfits. We have matching shoes, matching hoodies, matching pants, and we have matching jackets. We have matching everything to the T. We share a phone because we can't afford two phones, and they're saying that's domestic. They're also saying that me getting rid of Karen Hepner, who was yelling and swearing on the top of her lungs as someone with fatal alcohol syndrome, was a professional worker that I shouldn't have got rid of. They're also stating that the person that my wife has a video of, Patricia Colley and Raven Little, and Raven Little refused to say anything or stand up for my wife, and Raven Little allowed Patricia Colley for 45 minutes to try to convince my wife that I was cheating on her with her friend while I was sleeping on the bed with my wife cuddled up, and that her friend was on the air mattress for one night. And she also was trying to accuse me of making out with her best friend in the hallway at the meeting that we held. Whether or not that's true or not true, even if it was true, which it isn't, how is that any concern for my child? The other thing is, I tried to ask for counseling groups as I feel I'm domestic, and Patricia Colley was trying to do a self relationship counseling with the social worker herself, was trying to do a counseling group from herself. I asked for a professional one, and her and another worker were going to do a relationship counseling group. I did not find that professional in any way, shape, or form. And they were trying to tell me that I have to accept stuff that even if I don't think that it was, even if it's not about me or if it was just wrote no, I still have to go and accept it, or they're not willing to proceed with it. Then they went and were trying to get me to go and say that I was domestic towards my wife, that I've had a trained psychiatrist talk with my wife, and they said in no way, shape, or form was she. We also had other people up until what's her name from the parenting class?
Bev and Karen?
Up until Bev went and had a one-on-one talk with Bev, and when I went and talked to Bev, Beverly was trying to say that she was intimidated by me, is why she signed those letters after putting down my Aboriginal people. She also said that Bigfoot wasn't real, which I also find in my Aboriginal culture. Quite a few of us believe that he's very spiritual. So I felt that she was putting down quite a few different than my beliefs, spiritualism, and also other beliefs that I kind of find is racist. And that was from Karen and Bev at the Seven Sacred Teachings. What else can I say? I raised my niece and my nephew with my sister for multiple years, and they called me uncle. They love me. My niece used to go jump off the stairs, and I'd have to catch her, and I wouldn't have a second even to like grasp myself. Just open the door, and I'd have to grab her because I knew she was already coming jumping down off the stairs because she didn't understand at such a young age. I need a couple minutes to be able to catch her and look and see that she's there. So I literally had to open my arms and close them as quick as I could to grab her, or I would have dropped her. And she did that all the time. She loved her uncle. So did her brother. All my nieces love me to death. I volunteered with the Special Olympics in Maple Ridge multiple years to go and help with the special needs bowling and other Olympic sports that I do have volunteer experience from. How I got in it wasn't the point, but that I loved it. It was really good. That is. I've also done lots of other community stuff, such as going to the Gleaners and helping do stuff there with cutting vegetables and stuff for the community to be freeze dried and sent out to China and other countries. I've also completed parenting class with Karen and Bev, even though I find that they're very racist and unprofessional. And I have also went and completed a psych assessment and now a learning assessment, and they're telling me I'm lucky if I get a parenting assessment. I've asked them for multiple different times for them to, because they say that I am being domestic verbally when I speak on behalf of my wife when she can't go and talk for herself. So I asked for an Aboriginal advocate, which she has been denied. I've asked for an Aboriginal social worker, which she has been denied. They have told us it's because they do not have one in our catchment area that can take our file, and none of them are. Patricia Culley has been known from many other people to break their confidentiality. Cynthia Covert is an example. At our meeting, she brought Cynthia Covert's meeting into our meeting and broke her confidentiality by stating that she was not allowed at Ruth and Naomi's, that she was banned from Ruth and Naomi's, as well as Ann Davis Transition House, and she broke her confidentiality rights. And also she broke my wife's rights and by having a one-on-one conversation with Raven Little and Patricia Cawley, trying to convince my wife with fatal alcohol syndrome that I'm cheating on her. She has also accused me of being domestic with no proof. I have a lot of women and teachers and people in my community who have written letters and asked our social worker to call them. The social worker has not reached out to our professional counselor, nor to the psychiatrist, nor to any other person to try to help our case. And she keeps going and trying to say I'm delusional when I have things on video. And the reason why she's saying that she won't listen to the video is because it's not admissible in court. I'm not asking her to listen to it for a court reason. I'm asking it to listen to it so she knows what I'm saying is true or not true. And she's telling me that a recorder is lying and that the recording is delusional. Thank you very much, and I look forward to you guys looking to more of my shows. Thank you.